who has more power, who can use their game, who has a better mental fortitude. That's what we're going through today in this breakdown for the Wardley versus Dubois fight that will be happening tonight. I want to go through a bit of back history for both of them. Obviously, Wardley coming through a white-collar boxing background, no amateur career, straight into the professionals, and has done incredibly well. Really has been doubted throughout his whole career, thinking that, look, this guy who's come from white-collar surely can't keep going up and up and up. And he has done. He's now world champion, so incredible from him to come from where he has done to all the way to this peak of the sport, and especially in the heavyweight division. Dubois, a very more traditional style of coming through. Obviously, been training all his life, come through the amateur career, and then has turned professional. Has faced Usyk for a world championship. Has beaten AJ. Has beaten some of the greats in this era, as has Wardley. But Dubois has faced the best of the best in this era, which is Usyk. So incredible. Both had two fights with him, lost both, but second fight was more conclusive, but did drop Usyk. I think maybe with a low blow. I thought it was a low blow, but look, showed a good enough standing in that fight. Showed a bit of clash. Showed he should be up there with the other heavyweights that have faced Usyk. So I think this will be an incredible fight. I think it's a very 50-50 fight. And we've just got to see whose game plan works. And going straight into them game plans, I think Dubois is going to be very much as he was with AJ, explosive at the start, going to try and get you out of there straight away. And I think both will. I think that's not uncommon for both to try and get the KO early. But I think Dubois will have more success in them early rounds. It's quite clear that he's the younger guy. He's more explosive. He's just going to throw early on and throw everything he can to get you out there. Once he sees a little bit of I've been a bit stunned, I've took a big shot, that's his green light to just go, look, everything at you. And that's what he did against Joshua, which really worked because he started dropping in. That then meant, even though AJ stunned him before the final punch that ended the fight from Dubois, Dubois got stunned, he backed off, fired another shot. AJ just didn't have the capacity after their knockdowns to actually fight a clear, decisive fight once he actually got a punch on Dubois. And it really meant that there was only a chance of Dubois winning that fight post the knockdowns that AJ suffered. Getting on to Wardley, incredible fight. Joseph Parker did incredibly well to come through that and get the shots off, and that really announced him as, look, he is a top level heavyweight, and he has a solid chin. He's a standard heavyweight style, maybe even an old-fashioned style of heavyweight, where he can take a lot of shots, but guess what? He takes as many as he gives out, and the ones he gives out get the KOs on his opponent. He's incredible at taking shots and not getting finished by them. Incredible mentality and ability from him to do that, and that's what's put him through from white collar, which is a very white collar style of fighting, all the way to world championship level. Look, Fraser Clark, he broke his jaw, an incredible shot, that really shocked the world. Joseph Parker obviously beat him, incredible. And really, I think Dubois on a different level to that. Dubois is a very modern style of heavyweight. He's quite fast for a heavyweight, even from, he's slower than an Atoma, he's slower than them guys, but he's quite fast if you think about, compared to he's more explosive. He may not be faster with his punches, but I think he's got a little bit more movement in him when he needs to have it. And he moves fast to get them explosive punches. Once he gets you stunned, moving forward at least to try and throw punches, he's quite fast at getting on it. Whereas Wardley will try and back you up corners against the ropes and just fire off shots and get you into positions where he wants to throw shots heavy. Dubois is more, I'll walk forward and try and get shots off at you. I don't really mind getting you into position in the ring where I need you to be or want you to be. I know I can get shots off and get you down, and that sometimes works, it sometimes doesn't. It sometimes allows his opponents, like Usyk, with massive advantages in movement, sideways steps, counters to just get round him and start throwing off shots. And that's what we saw in the Usyk fight. But look, similarities, KO power, both got 95% KO finishes in their fights. It's a great fight to see, and it's going to be incredible. There's no way this fight doesn't come out with a KO finish in some way for either fighter. And I think they both have success. I think they could both be knocked down. I think they could both be... They're definitely going to take shots. They're definitely going to be stunned in this fight. But what do I think? How do I think this fight plays out? I think Dubois comes through forward early. I think he goes for the AJ mentality of going, if I get shots on you and get a knockdown or get XYZ, it puts you off your game. I know through a 12-rounder, Wardley's probably better. I'm not allowing that 12-rounder. I'm not allowing to get into the later rounds where Wardley has been there, done that, has been tired, and has won every time. I don't need to do that. What I need to do is get him early, get him off his game, and that'll put him on my game where I can be explosive on the front foot, and the dangerous stuff coming back with real intention is diminished for him, and that will really put Dubois in the front seat for the fight. For Wardley, I think he has to be careful. I think he'll try and get the KOs as and when he can, but he's got to allow Dubois to overthrow. Once he starts, get Dubois to throw early, and he'll start overthrowing. Once Dubois, and this nearly happened in the AJ fight, for all the good Dubois did to get the KO knockdowns on AJ, and then to allow him to stun you and get backed up that much, and then obviously do get the finish. If that was Wardley and he got knocked down, even maybe as many times, I don't even know if he goes down as many times as AJ did. That's a different story. I think he's got a better chin than AJ has. I think Wardley comes forward with, at that point, less damage and more intention, and I think that's a real problem because AJ basically went through the fire with Dubois, and that was the point where if AJ just stayed in there, I think the fight completely flips, and AJ starts having a hell of a lot of success because Dubois had provided everything he could to AJ, and he was getting tired, and he still couldn't get him out of there. And I think that's a real problem. I think it's a real thing to look at in this fight. Early round KO, maybe, I think it'll be Dubois. But what I really think will happen in this fight is Wardley's mental state, which is a hell of a lot. His fortitude mentally is so much better. He comes through wars, he gets hit, he gets punched, he comes through, he loses rounds early. But at the end of the day, it could be in the 12th round, in the final second, he'll get that knockout. And I think Dubois is very different. I think if he gives everything in them first few rounds to knock him out, gets a knockdown, but he's still there even, and he starts having success and starts losing rounds to Wardley, that becomes a real problem for Dubois, where I don't think the mental fortitude of Dubois can handle that. I've given you everything, I'm getting tired, and you're having success now. And I think that just completely, there's no change, there's no ability to completely change his mind on going, you need to just give it a couple rounds, and I need to change what I'm doing in the ring. I can't just do what I normally do if I'm not winning now. And I think that's very tough for Dubois to do. I think he struggles. He struggled in Hrgović fight. He does struggle sometimes with, if this guy does something different that is sort of countering my fighting style, I need to sort of do something different. I need to throw different punches. I need to get different angles. Let's see how I can change and lose a round or two just by doing that and get the win overall. I don't think Dubois, I think he's one of the worst top heavyweights at doing that change. I don't think he can. I think he throws so much, he gets that tired. If he doesn't get you out of there and he's thrown everything, or he's knocked you down a couple of times, he may not even be tired that much, but I think mentally that goes, this guy I can't beat him. I cannot punch him. And you saw it, this will be very different to the Usyk fight, but in the Usyk fight, look, did he quit? I think he did. I think the fact was he gave everything he could and his best ability and his best punches he could do, the fastest punches, the most powerful punches he could do, and he was just missing, or he was hitting it, it was doing nothing, because Usyk was just so good at keeping his hands up, keeping there. I think it would be even worse in this fight for him, because Wardley will just be taking stuff on the chin, and will continue forward, which is just so demotivating for the fighters Wardley's fought before, let alone Dubois, who's shown before, and I think he has a lack of ability to change and to continue with a fight and go, I just need to know in my heart of hearts I'm going to win and try my best to win. And that would have gotten through some of these fights where I think if Hrgovic was better, I think he would have won. I think that's the thing. I think Hrgovic got too tired. He got cut on the eye, and it got cut, and it was a problem for him. I think Dubois finds it a big struggle if he's not in the front ascending seat from early. I think if he starts losing a good few rounds, or he's given everything and then he starts losing, I think it's very tough for him to get back on top. And I think that'll be exactly the way this fight goes. Dubois may win the early rounds. Wardley may even get knocked down. There may be some 10-8s in there for Dubois. Wardley, though, from round 4, 5, will start coming back, and you'll see the face of Dubois that he cannot get that win, and he knows he's already lost. That loss on his face in the Usyk fight, look at his face, you can see already he knows I've got nothing here to do. And I think once he shows everything to Wardley, and Wardley probably smiles at him and goes, is that it? You'll see go, oh no, this is a different type of fighter. And I think will provide a roadmap for other heavyweights to fight him. I think if he goes against an Atoma, he loses. I think Wardley is a style that doesn't work for Dubois, because Dubois needs to be on the front foot and winning. And I think Wardley's the best out of anyone at making you feel that your best shots do nothing to him. And I think that's going to be a real problem for Dubois. I think Wardley gets this done. I think it might be round 8, round 9, but it'll be later rounds in the fight. I think early KO will be Dubois. I do think Wardley gets this done, because it's just his style really attacks the mental fortitude of Dubois that we have already seen massive cracks in, and especially in that Usyk 2 fight, massive cracks in the. He everyone's saying he quit. I think he did. I think he knew he lost, and I think that's just a terrible thing to now go into a Wardley fight and go, yeah, happy to fight someone who's going to make me feel like my punches do nothing. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.